Hi, my name is Shlomi Ron. I'm the co-founder and CEO at the Visual Storytelling Institute based here in Miami, Florida. And today we have a very interesting topic. It's really something that we get a lot from our clients and students. They typically ask us, how do you transform stories using emerging visual media? And as you all know, emerging media is really taking a lot of the headlines these days, from 360 videos to augmented reality, virtual reality. There's a lot of new platforms that people are experimenting with, and questions are rising. How do you drive these new vehicles to tell compelling stories? So that's why I'm super excited to have on our show today Raphael Baldwin. Raphael, in essence, I know him since he was one of my first students at the Visual Storytelling Experience at the Idea Center in Miami-Dade College. It was a pleasure working with him. And since then, he's doing very well in the space of emerging visual media and storytelling. He is an expert in 360 video, immersive television. He's a director, producer. He's in fact covered some of the major media events from BAFTA Awards to Cannes, Venice, Berlin, and other major film festivals. And he also currently serves as the digital media storyteller at the New World Symphony here in Miami. So with that, welcome to our show, Raphael.
Thank you, Shlomi. It's always a pleasure to talk to you, and now to do this interview with you.
Awesome. Yeah, so maybe, for folks that kind of interested to learn more about your background, since, it's not that one day you woke up and you say, I'm going to do 360 video. So maybe you can tell us a little bit about your journey, how you got started in this.
Yes, absolutely. Well, the story is quite a long story, and audiovisual content was from the beginning of my life. No, my mother and my father both are television producers.
Oh wow!
So and they were doing that even before I was born. So It was from day zero, pretty much the 24/7 of my life. No?
Oh wow!
They were. During dinner, during the meals, during the holidays, and it also happens that I am an only child. So every summer break, I was with them, in the jumping around in the television studios rather than.
So what TV studios they worked at? I know that you originally from Mexico, right?
Exactly. They produced. Basically all their career, apart from having their own production company, but for more than 30 years, they worked at Televisa. Televisa is the largest media conglomerate in the Spanish-speaking world.
Oh, wow.
And it is the leading television station in Mexico, but it's also, dedicated to serve more than 20 Spanish-speaking countries in the world. And of course, selling some of the content that Televisa is most famous for are the soap operas. In Asia, Eastern Europe, in many places they sell these
telenovelas.
Exactly, the telenovelas. It's I would say with Globo in Brazil, maybe the main two producers of telenovelas. No.
Got it. So you pretty much grew up in a family of TV producers, and then what did you do for college?
Yes, it was fun because indeed, like most of the brothers of my father were also in the television industry, and the other half of the family, my mom's family, were musicians. Oh, my grandmother was a famous Mexican singer. So, the two things that I am doing right now, after many years of either doing one or the other, all of a sudden made sense. No, so now at the New World Symphony, I'm, doing producing audiovisual content about musicians and the concerts that we have and the musical initiatives that we have, and so it was an opportunity to have both together. But going back to what did I study, I went on to I studied different things. It has been quite a journey. My bachelor's degree is in music composition.
Mm-hmm.
And then I did a master's degree at the Royal College of Music in London.
Oh, wow.
It was a master's degree in music for film and TV. And I'm going to go back to...
You're actually a soundtrack guy, right?
Yes, in a way. But funny enough, I'll tell you a couple of things, and then I'll come back to how technology disrupted this industry. Yeah. No? I studied that, and as I said, I grew up in a family that was, part of the
production
Mexican
trade,
music industry, right? Yep. So I for me, it was an opportunity to have hands-on experience and life experiences in these two industries. So then I decided to study music, as I said, in London. But you know what? Technology started to back in those days, and maybe even 5 or almost 10 years before that, technology disrupted the music industry.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
With Napster, Kazaa, YouTube later in that journey.
Absolutely.
It was completely upside down. No, the people was having music for free. Was the whole business model was disrupted. And then, as I said, I was born in a family of television producers, and I always liked it. And Britain is vibrant for music and for film. Yeah. So then I wanted to I started my career when I was very little, when I was 7 or 8 as a child actor. And then later in my life, I decided to go behind the camera with my father. And I started directing multi-camera maybe when I was 15 or 16 years.
Wow. That's incredible.
And professionally later in my career when I was 21, 22. But it was, I was reaching a point in which my academic credentials were music credentials. But my professional experience, I had exactly. I thought it was also an opportunity to, after doing the master's degree in music, I decided to do a master's degree in documentary filmmaking at the Goldsmiths College. And I thought it was an interesting opportunity because it was, on one side, an opportunity to further develop the skills, and in the other, to have an academic credential that could support the visual side of my career. Because I was reaching a point in which it was just tricky to present a resume or to ask for a job interview when, I was, for the eyes of the interviewer, a musician. I wanted to produce videos. I mean, for me, it made all sense because I had both skills, or I was developing both skills and professional experience on both sides. But there was, like a filter there that I thought, okay, if the music is upside down and I'm not really finding that ideal scenario to live out of my music, and I'm gonna be using my music in addition to other things more as a.
So basically, you're saying it's not really enough sometimes to. You always need to balance, both your academic degrees and, the path you want to follow. Because if your degrees are pointing to, in your case, music, but you are interested in production, you gotta bring more production training to your academic side.
Yes, and the training, but also the credential. And let me just clarify. I some of the most talented people I've met in my life maybe didn't even have a college degree. No,
right.
I had the opportunity, as I was saying, from a very young age, to learn from people that maybe sort of developed the industry. There were no media degrees back in those days. They were the pioneers of that industry. So I don't think you need a degree in order to succeed. Right. And I don't think you need a degree in order to have talent. No, there are two completely different things. But I think it was an opportunity for me to further develop things.
Got it.
I wanted to know that maybe, on the type of projects that I had worked before were more into entertainment, and documentary filmmaking was an opportunity to discover another side of media, no? And it was also an opportunity to have an interesting academic credential, just to give an additional support to.
So what type of production jobs you held in the beginning of your career?
I think I've done like everything. No, my dad, even when my family was already working on that, they never seated me in a position, no? Like, oh, he's 14 years old, he's gonna be the producer. It's like, that's not gonna happen. You wanna do it, you're gonna learn it the way it needs to be learned. Like,
so you tried everything, basically.
Exactly. You're gonna be doing the grip, you're gonna be taking, following the rundowns, you're gonna be assisting the editors, assisting the directors. Nice. Like, you wanna be good, like, there's no way around. There's no shortcut.
You got to learn the whole machinery in order to be able to lead it, to drive it afterwards.
Exactly.
That's great. So definitely, it looks like you had a journey that kind of groomed you from day one to a career in production, because your family, your interests all aligned and kind of led you to this. So when you think,
just that one thing, just to finalize that thought, as we were saying with the technology and how it was disrupted, I think what happened to the music industry happened also to the television industry. Right? The people was watching it whenever they wanted, in the form they wanted, in different platforms that we didn't have before. No, people is watching these days TV in their phones. We would have never thought that 20 years ago. So after doing that and facing, challenges in both industries, and quite a challenging situation, where the question was, what do I like, but what do I also see myself doing, right? So that's the reason that brought me to that I decided to move to Miami. Then I did a third degree in interactive media at the University of Miami. Because I realized that, the thing that put upside down both industries and many others was technology. And
that's kind of the connective tissue between everything.
Exactly. And the way exactly how I think it gets connected, that background, with what you were telling me, that you wanted to discuss VR, AR, interactive, branching narratives. I reached a point in which I thought it was a good idea to go back to basics and learn coding and learn, technology.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, to get your hands dirty. So that's why I moved to Miami, and that's how we met.
Yeah, absolutely. And so when you think about, your training, your experience, both on the job and also in school, I'm sure you, by now, even after you've taken our class, have you probably established some position or notion about, because we have a lot of marketers and business leaders watching, going to listen to this broadcast. So I'm kind of curious to know, what would you say is your definition for visual storytelling, especially as it relates to emerging media?
Mm-hmm. Well, I would say visual storytelling is, in my opinion, basically conveying meaningful messages through images. Be it a picture, a painting, a sculpture, a piece of silent video, any type of message that is represented in visual terms. No? Right. And of course, when you add audio, like any movie or television transmission, well, it becomes an audiovisual storytelling. But I would say conveying meaningful messages through things that could be perceived with the eyes. No?
And when you say messages, do you tend to kind of go deeper and define what a story means in order for it to qualify as a visual storytelling? Because we're talking about stories, not just flat messages.
Yes. Sometimes I don't know. Sometimes I would say meaningful content, but not necessarily all the content, even when it's very valid. necessarily has a story, right? It could be a very succinct piece of either knowledge or message or an idea, and perhaps something that works as a story is something just more elaborate, no? That is made of these building bricks of content.
So if you think maybe about what you do today in the World Symphony, can you give us a sense of what the process looks like, when you start working on a project, on a storytelling project that requires some emerging visual media technology in order to communicate it?
Look, I think it's a very interesting opportunity, the one that I have here at the New World Symphony, because it is a position that requires me to do the entire spectrum of things in order to have these pieces that the content that we present to the audiences, either through a marketing campaign or a virtual reality experience before one of the concerts. For me, it's either challenging and enriching and exciting, all of that at the same time, because I have to do everything from coordinating the interviews to.
But how the process starts? You get a request from marketing, from who?
It depends. It depends. Sometimes it could be either the marketing department saying, "Hey, you know what? We have this new type of concert, and we have to." For example, we have one that is coming up in January 5th. That it's a classical music concert meeting American Idol. No, so it's gonna be a competition for families to vote for their favorite performer. So that one has an interesting challenge because it's the first time we're gonna be doing it. So it's sitting down with the musicians that came up with this idea and understanding what is it about, how it is different from the other concerts. Now, what are the differentiators that we need to highlight in the campaign so that the people would go like, hey, I have never seen something like that. I should go to that concert. But there are some other times in which maybe we decide to prototype an audiovisual experience that is not necessarily meant to promote a concert, but maybe just to, for example, we started this season activations, virtual reality activations with the audiences that are halfway through being an audience inside of the performance hall at the New World Center. We have an interesting
so
format.
you have basically like a VR station that
exactly
where people are coming to the theater, they can actually try it out.
Exactly. For example, we have around four concerts every season at the Arched Center. So when we go there, we bring this VR station so that the people that sometimes know about us but have never been to the New World Center experience a little bit of the building. We have a beautiful Frank Gehry building, and we have all sorts of concerts, not only the classical music formats, but we have also Pulse, that it's an electronic music / classical music concert. So it's like a club style environment where you have DJ sets and also classical music. We have concerts for kids. We have concerts for children that are studying, so it's an academic concert. We have a sensory friendly environment initiative for children and people with family members within the autism spectrum. So it's a room that has a live transmission of whatever is happening in the main hall in a room that has suitable conditions for people experiencing autism.
Yeah, because I remember you also had some, one of the highlights of the project that I've seen is that you sometimes broadcast live on the outer wall of the new symphony.
Exactly.
The whole concert, basically, right?
Exactly, and it's super cool, and it's as popular as the concert inside. The concert inside receives more or less 750 people. We have 80% of
it's a great idea.
But outside, we have sometimes we have around 3,000 people
Wow.
sitting there waiting 3 hours before the concert, having a picnic. And that's the audience that we're also, that we're also presenting this VR experience, so that they can feel more familiar with what's happening inside, and hopefully that VR experience serves as an invitation, for them to join the other experience.
So when the marketing team, for example, or other team comes to you with a request for a project, do they typically attach some business objectives around it? So what they're trying to accomplish out of it, and how they're going to measure this?
Yes, all the time. There's a very interesting group of people working on finding ways on how to make classical music accessible to as many people as possible. Be it children, be it visitors to the city of Miami that maybe don't know about us, people that maybe has misconceptions about what classical music is.
Mm-hmm.
So trying to find different and creative ways to take what we do to a wider audience, and yes, sometimes the goals could be selling tickets, but sometimes 30% of more than 30% of our concerts are free. So sometimes the goal is not to sell tickets.
It's more like awareness play.
Exactly, awareness, just to make sure that that the hall is full. Sometimes we have many community engagement projects where we don't sell tickets, and it's not a concert involved. Maybe we have just presentations about classical music in high schools around the city. So depending the type of project is the type of performance indicators that we set, and by using those, we measure the success or the opportunity areas in place.
So you mentioned kind of a few types of projects. One, you said, it's the outdoors experience on the building wall in order to create awareness. You talked about also the VR stations in order to create awareness when you are in a different location, like the Arts Center, and also some reenactment of upcoming concert, just to get a glimpse of how it's going to look like. You also involved in any recording of the actual event?
Yes, of course. There's an entire video production team that records the majority of the concerts that we have, and sometimes they are streamed on platforms like Medici TV. Sometimes they go directly on Facebook Live. That's the transmission that is broadcast live to the crowd outside of the New World Center in the Wallcast. And it's the same signal that is used for the sensory-friendly environment. So yes, they record the concerts. Sometimes they use it. We have access to the internet too. That it's a protocol for academic and research institutions that has just faster and suitable conditions to further develop this type of projects. So sometimes it's used so that some of the students from the New World Symphony Fellows could see what they are talking about, could see the pieces, could see how it's an actual orchestral performance. So there are many applications, and yes, we definitely record the concerts for many purposes.
One thing that kind of caught my attention, because I attended one of the concerts, I think last year, and I'm wondering if you're involved in this type of project. I typically define this as more kind of a branded environment design. So basically, the entire ceiling of the theater was projected with all kind of animated visuals during the concert.
Do you remember the name of the concert? We sometimes do it during polls, the one that has electronic music. And they come up with these very original content for the performance hall, not to be projected in the hall. So could be that one.
It's more like an ambient visuals that kind of support the music as you watch. People kind of look at the ceilings and the walls, and it's an extra visual tactic to enrich the experience, I'm guessing.
Nice. Yes. It sounds like a Pulse concert, so maybe it was one of them.
I can remember. Yeah, but it was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed it. Yeah. So
nice.
Yeah. So as you kind of work on different projects and kind of progressing to experiment with new frontiers of emerging media, what do you find are kind of the common misconceptions about or challenges that business leaders still don't get about emerging media? Things that you find yourself, needing to explain more about. No, this is actually does ABC instead of what you're thinking.
Look, not necessarily at New World Symphony, because I think it's the institution has always been at the forefront of innovation within the classical music niche.
Yeah, it could be from outside the organization. Yeah.
But something very interesting. I am teaching a class at the University of Miami, and one of the things that I find very frequently, either with the students, it's for undergrad and postgraduate students. So some of them are working, they are already working with clients. And one of the things that I think it's a misconception these days is that everything needs to be short, right? Everything is tailored for 30 seconds.
It's true.
And I think it's a complete misconception, because yes, I mean, it's a half truth, because yes, indeed, in social media, we used to have Vine that were 6-second videos. We have Facebook that, yes, sometimes videos tend to be shorter rather than longer, but that same audience, or tweets that are, they increased recently, but the amount of characters, but it used to be 144, I think.
Yeah,
something like that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But yes, it feels like everything needs to be short, but that same audience is the same exact audience that on any given Saturday could watch 8 episodes back to back of their favorite Netflix show.
Yeah.
And that's far from being short. It's like sometimes you are there 8 hours, the entire day.
Yeah, that's what I keep saying also. People say attention span is going down, and they use this stat about the goldfish, 1 second less than humans, 7 seconds. And the reality is that, it's because we have million channels to consume content from, then your attention is shifted, but it's your choice how you're going to slice it.
And what I do think is that what I truly believe is that people don't have time for poorly prepared content. That I agree. No, they don't have time to invest in something that is not worth their time. So if it's half baked, the product, yes, chances are they're gonna watch 20 seconds and they're gonna move on. But if it's good, I mean, just ask any Game of Thrones fan if they don't watch like 3, 4, 5, and sometimes 3 in the morning, 4 in the morning, and you have things to do the next day, and it was worth your time, no?
Yeah. I'm kind of curious also to know any failure lessons, big lesson that you learned a lot from, because obviously in your type of job, you sometimes you gotta experiment, and not everything is gonna turn out great.
Yes, one of the things that we're producing at the New World Symphony is interactive video, and that's something very cool. But that was, that was quite a challenge to reinvestigate your craft in a format that is not anymore linear and that is meant to be manipulated by the audience. We came up with this 25-minute interactive documentary of a new initiative that we have that is called Blue, that is to initiate musicians in the entrepreneurship side of things. So in a way, it's a project that we want to serve as a new set of skills for the fellows of the orchestra to find creative ways to make classical music survive in the 21st century.
So it's more like a training objective, basically.
Exactly. And we came up with an interactive documentary that described this first iteration of the Blue projects. And it was amazing, and I am very happy with the final result. But man, that was something exciting, but that was challenging, because the platform that we used is being currently developed. So sometimes, as great as it is, there are some times that there are still bugs in the system, and the project was an opportunity to further polish our content and to inform of these small issues we were facing to the engineers of the software.
It's more like a technology challenge. It's not like
I would say
storyboarding.
I would say 50-50. It's challenging in the technological aspect because they are intertwined, right? It's understanding what the platform is capable of informs the creation of the content, right?
And the platform was basically some sort of you said a video that basically was interactive?
Yes, exactly. It's called Hello Echo, and it's an interactive platform. It's a platform to enable interactive video. So it has been, because we've been working on that for the last 2 seasons, and it's just interesting to reinvestigate how you have to shoot content, how you have to edit content, how you have to prepare the storylines to branch and then come back, and no matter what path you choose, still makes sense.
Yeah.
Now it's like a point in between a video game and a documentary. Yeah. And that was very exciting, but that was fairly challenging.
And was it all a real life footage, or also illustration, animation?
Yeah, well, yes, we needed illustrations because we needed to have all the buttons in place. And from time to time, and even directing the on-camera talent, no, because they have to introduce you to the buttons.
Yeah.
They have to allow some time for you to come up with those choices, and it's just it's a format that requires just a different approach, not just by shooting video and then putting it in an interactive platform. It just doesn't work like that.
And probably, I'm guessing you had to test it out with the users to make sure that it's actually working as planned, right?
Exactly. So yes, it was very interesting, and we had the open house a few months ago, and there were people playing. We have some touch screen monitors, so we had the videos there, and it was just fun to see, kids, but also adults playing around with the content in the monitor, and engaging in a different way that was putting the user experience at the center of the story. No? Mm-hmm.
That's great. No, I think interactive video is in what they call transmedia storytelling, where your story is kind of changing a platform from social to TV to mobile. This is definitely a brave new world that still people are experimenting with. So having done such a great work, do you have any kind of favorite project that you're really proud of? It could be yours, could be from the industry.
Look, one of the things I'm happy about, and I think the New World Symphony is also happy with, is the VR activations. Because it has been just an opportunity to reach out yes, to the kids that go to the Worldcast concerts or to the education concerts, but also to reach out to another audience that have never tried VR before.
Right.
No, adults from very different ages that have never tried it, and to see how they engage with that, and how they sometimes they know about us, sometimes they don't, but to see how through virtual reality they have a better idea of the things that we do. I think that has been very exciting and enriching. And we also take notes of the things that work or could work better, and we iterate, right?
Absolutely.
So we're using VR to tell the story of who we are and what we do. And given that what we do, or one of the main things that we do, is music concerts, our music concerts, I think VR is just an ideal format for that, because it's immersive visually and also in terms of the sound. So I've watched it several times, and it's just cool. There's a video where we have, Michael Tilson Thomas, the 11-time Grammy Award winner conductor, conducting right next to you, and it's just fun, and it's a view that only when you're an orchestral musician you can see Michael from
that distance.
Position,
yeah.
Right?
Are they interactive, or it's just more kind of for people to kind of work around and navigate within the space you'd created?
This one in particular, there are some. We're preparing a tour of the New World Center,
right?
That is going to be VR, and it's going to be interactive, so that you can explore the building at your own pace. But this one that I am telling you, it's a linear video. It's a roughly 2-minute video that is short and punchy, with a selection of the things that we do.
Oh, that's awesome. Cool. All right. So definitely a fantastic, great fun projects you've been involved with. So when you look at the future, I have a question for you that is interesting on two levels. One, from the trade business, obviously, I'm trying to get your opinion about where emerging visual storytelling is headed. But on a second level, kind of very close to your home, when you look at examples like Netflix now launching, Alfonso Cuarón's Roma, that it's also disrupting right now the movie business. They're trying to get nominated for this entry.
Yes.
What are your thoughts about all these developments looking at the future?
Well, that's a very interesting question, and as you know, and the project that I was shaping in the class that I took with you was my news platform, my film news platform. And I'm still collaborating with Univision. I've been doing it for the last 6 years, or a bit more now. And I had the opportunity to interview Alfonso a few months ago at the London Film Festival, and we were talking about that, about the he as a film actor, he's also part of this very interesting opportunity for content creators to find audiences not only in the theaters, but in their homes. And I just think it's interesting. Yes, indeed, the business models are gonna be changed. I think I mean they are already being changed. The film studios are, struggling sometimes to bring people into the theater.
Yes,
I think the experience in the theaters with this beautiful sound, the massive screens, are still worth the money and the time, and people believe that, and they are still going. I don't think one
cancel the other.
Exactly. I don't think they necessarily compete. I just think there are movies that maybe I would never go to watch on a movie theater, that if I have on Netflix, maybe I would give it a try. And there are some other movies that I won't wait until they reach the online platforms, and then I go and watch it on the movie theater. So I don't think they compete as much as I do think they open a whole new opportunity for content creators.
It's almost like the gatekeeper
Exactly.
are expanded, not getting
Exactly.
smaller like the old system that you have like 4 or 5 major studios and all the rest are kind of independent films that
and I think it also applies to the television industry. No, before it used to be, you wanted to be a television producer, director, whatever, you needed to be part of a television station. Right now, with the technology becoming cheaper and cheaper, or at least more affordable than before, if not necessarily cheap, and with the possibility of broadcasting your own content, having your own tools, and reaching your own audience, I just think that's nothing but very exciting. No, it's certainly challenging for the television industry as an industry, and maybe even more so to the television stations, but for the content creators, for the television professionals, man, there are just many more options now to live from what you do. No, sometimes there are countries like mine that maybe have 2 TV stations, the main ones, no, and some others that were doing okay, but mainly 2.
But in terms of the platforms, do you see any evolutions in terms of, we're talking right now AR, VR being like the top of the chain in terms of technology-wise. Where do you see the
Netflix
next wave?
Yes, I definitely think interactive video is the next big thing. Netflix launched the Puss in Boots, the first interactive project for kids, but they are now about to release a Black Mirror episode that it's going to be interactive. And they are starting to produce interactive branching content, and the technology is already there. There are different companies that are competing to become the industry standard. And Netflix has already the infrastructure. They've proven they have the money, and they are not afraid of using it. And I'm sure they're going to do something very interesting. They already have the audience there. It's just a matter of coming up with the right project to kick off a whole new section of content.
On a simpler step, I just heard that they just tested this feature, on selected this scene within a movie. You have a small button that pops up and say, watch this scene again, because they thought it sounds like reading a text and marking it. You want to enjoy it again. So
that's nice. And for industry professionals, that would be amazing, right? You don't have to go back and go, oh my God, that was a nice effect. How did they come up with it? No, it's just like, play it again 10 times.
Exactly. So very cool. So just to kind of wrap up, maybe if you can summarize, what would you say your top 3 tips for folks that are looking to get into emerging visual media, visual storytelling?
I would say the first one, to keep studying. I think right now, fortunately, access to education is becoming more and more accessible. Now you have free video tutorials all over YouTube. You have paid incredible sources like lynda.com.
Coursera,
exactly. What it used to be before, an opportunity for just a few, a very selected group of people, selected by don't know what standards, but selected nonetheless. No, universities used to be sometimes only accessible to people that could afford it, and maybe university was the only way to get to that knowledge. Or maybe the way around was to becoming a member of the industry, and dedicating 20 years to learn from time to time those gems that exactly. And I think these days it's interesting because there's a spirit of sharing the information. I know something and I put a video online, and then people that is trying to do something similar, go to that video, and then they comment, and then they are networking, and then they are all of a sudden collaborating together and sharing what they do with their audiences. And I think it's a very exciting time. So I also think there's less and less an excuse to not know,
not to try.
Of course, I mean, without of course there are some very critical situations in many parts of the world where people still don't have access to the internet, and that needs to be tackled. But it's true to say that if we compare this moment to just a few decades before, we have more access to information than before. So absolutely. I think that's something that cannot go without being noticed. No?
So learning is one.
And learning is one. To understand your audience would be the second one.
Mm-hmm.
To understand who could be consuming what you want to produce.
Yeah.
To understand, I mean, that when you want to generate revenue out of that. If you don't care about revenue and you just you just want to produce your art the way you want it, that's perfectly fine. Chances are it's gonna love it. Chances are maybe you're gonna love it, and if you're fine with that, that's good. No, sometimes as I said, I'm also a composer, and sometimes I let my pen flow and I compose it, and some years ago, I decided that I was not necessarily gonna live out of making music,
mm-hmm.
but I can do it the way I want it, no? And that's fine. Some music. But there are some others, no, when it comes to audiovisual production or when it comes to selling my songs, that of course you have to if you're planning to sell those songs and you're expecting someone to buy them, you have to understand your audience, no? It's Absolutely. Not like, oh, I want you to buy whatever I want to produce. It's like, no, it's meet me halfway, no?
Yeah.
Be creative, but also understand who you are talking to and understand if that specific audience is actually interested or not in the product that you are offering. And if not, find someone else. No, but I think understanding the audience
is
essential. Critical. Yes, it's essential, no? And the third one would be, I think, to be true to the stories that you want to tell, because no one is gonna tell the stories that you can tell, no? So again, it's meet me halfway, no? Understand your audience, but also come up with some truth, right? If you're gonna say the same things that everyone has already said, then what's the point? And also, you're missing the whole point of being yourself.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
If only you have lived the life that you've lived, tell me about it. No? Yeah. Don't tell me about the things that I already know. Like, share with me what you know, how it feels like to be yourself.
Absolutely. No.
What are the interesting things from that path that I didn't live that you can share with me? And let me tell you what I've lived that certainly you weren't there, because even if it was your brother that was next to you, or mom, dad, friend, girlfriend, whatever, only
it's a different perspective.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. It's a different perspective of a shared experience, but a different perspective nonetheless. So I say those would be the
great. So everybody, it's learning, know your audience and be true to your story, because at the end of the day, you want to feel like you're bringing something of value.
Exactly.
Yourself,
Exactly. Give that vote of confidence to yourself.
Exactly.
Let yourself flow into what you do.
Right.
No? There's and I mean, at the end, that's the only way you can do it.
No.
I think you only have one option: doing it from your own experience, from your own perspective, from your own way of perceiving life and what is going on, no, in with the people or places that you're interacting with.
Yeah, in my classes, I typically use the caprese sandwich, which is really my favorite sandwich, where the top slice represent your story. The bottoms is your customer pain point or story, and the feeling is really your must-have solution. So, or your product. It could be your movie, it could be whatever you are creating, but it needs to kind of create a very cohesive match between the two slides, like any great sandwich.
Yes, and that's true. And now that you're talking about the students, I remember well from the course I had the pleasure of taking with you, this idea of the bigger story.
Oh yeah.
Of the project that we were doing. And I think that's very interesting. It's going back to the main point, to what is driving you to pursue that story.
Exactly. Awesome. So thank you so much, Rafael. It's been really an amazing time to kind of go through your journey in becoming an expert in immersive storytelling and emerging visual media. And I'm sure
and still learning. I appreciate those very kind words, but as I said, I'm being true to what I just said. Keeping studying every day. Dedicating half an hour every day to watch a video tutorial, to read a little bit of an interesting book. You always have 30 minutes, right? So
I'm with you.
Trying to dedicate a few minutes with that.
Excellent. And if a few of my audience would like to get in touch with you, how they can contact you?
I think LinkedIn is the best way to do it. It's Rafael Baldwin, and again, it's linkedin.com/Rafael Baldwin, and you will see my face. And I think that's the best way, and I look forward to hearing from your audience.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Rafael, and we'll see all of you hopefully in our next episode of Visual Storytelling Today.
Visual Storytelling Today is recorded in Miami, Florida. The show is published exclusively by Visual Storytelling Institute. Learn more at visualstorytell.com. You can subscribe to this podcast on the iTunes Store. Until next time, don't let your big story wait to be told.